Deadpool.
All right, it says we are live. Can't see the video yet. There we go. All right. Hey, everybody. It's Mike here with Hilco Homes, and got Alex in the background. He's actually not going to be in today's episode. He's kind of helping out in the background, literally. And what we are going to do today is kind of fun, kind of different. We have a couple of the team members who haven't done a Facebook Live with us quite yet. And we're going to have them on today's live episode. And what we're going to do today is talk about entrepreneurship in movies and the movies, or rather entrepreneurship movies that inspired us, that we like, our favorites. But before we get into that, I want to go around our little round table. Literally, it is a round table, and have everybody introduce themselves. So first here, we got Hernando. So Hernando, say a little bit about yourself and about what you do at Hilco.
Hello, everybody. Hernando RC here, acquisitions partner for Hilco Homes. And I'm excited to be here with my fellow co-workers here. So yeah, it should be fun today. Great topic.
Cool. And we have Angel joining us. I don't think Angel has done any actual Facebook Live stuff, other than like promotional things that he puts on social media and tags Hilco in.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've done a podcast with you.
Yeah, this is going to be my first one, so
Nice.
I'm pretty excited.
Cool. And what do you do at Hilco?
I acquire deals, and Alex sells them.
Close.
Okay.
Closes on.
That's pretty concise. And next we have Melanie, who's new to the team. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Hilco.
I do phone calls right now, but mostly I bug everybody for information and knowledge.
Okay. So how are you liking the acquisitions team so far?
It's good. It's good. Everybody's really cool and very helpful. And I don't know what else to say right now.
That's all right. We're just getting started. And then we have a special Hilco team member, Anthony. So introduce yourself. Talk a little bit about what you do with Hilco.
Yeah, sure. Really like go behind the scenes, record the team. It's just very, to let the audience know that it's a lot of hard work between closing deals, So I just record them and, edit and, yeah, pretty much.
So Anthony's kind of just being really light about what he does.
Yeah.
He actually, so if you guys follow us on all social media platforms, not just Facebook, so Instagram and some of the other things that we do, Anthony does a lot of that video work. So some of the pictures, the videos, he does a lot of that editing stuff. And then our team kind of schedules it and posts it out there. And Anthony does quite a bit behind the scenes, and he's not giving himself enough credit.
Makes us look good.
It does a really good job.
All right, so today's topic was brought up by Hernando, and I thought it was really fun and interesting, unique, a little different from our normal conversations. And so what is the entrepreneurship movie that your top one that you would want to talk about?
Oh yeah, Mike, I figured let's do a video, but not of a walkthrough of a piece of crap looking house. Let's do something a little bit more lighter.
Yeah.
It's a gloomy day here in San Antonio, Texas, and something just a little fun, because we work hard all day, every day, and sometimes we just need to stop and chill and relax, right?
For
and
sure.
so, in terms of Hollywood and the media and what's out there are some classic movies out there, and like the top couple that come to mind. I mean, my number one pick is Wall Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that was during my era when I was a young teenager in the late '80s. And Charlie Sheen was coming on the scene, right? And he's epic, right? So Wall Street was my pick for the top movie.
Okay.
That I chose.
Awesome. And I do have some questions here.
Cool.
So you said it was a movie that came out around the time of your, you coming into business and I guess, your professional career.
True. That is true.
So what would you say
That is
makes
true.
it a great entrepreneurship movie?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think it's the epic movie that talks about capitalism. You know,
Right.
and what is more capitalism than Wall Street in New York City, where I grew up? I'm from Brooklyn, New York, right?
Yeah.
And I'm familiar with the area of Dow Jones and the market there. So, what makes it such a great movie is the time period. It involves capitalism. It involves betrayal. It involves drugs, women. It had all the elements that you need
Just
to
like
make
real
a great
life.
movie. Right? In the back of the limousine with Charlie Sheen, doing
Yeah.
the line. So, yeah, this is not family. But no.
And have you guys also seen that movie?
Right.
I
Yes.
have. Yeah.
You seen it,
Yeah.
right?
I thought you
Yeah.
were talking about the newer
Charlie
one.
Sheen, right?
Charlie Sheen. Yeah, made
looks
him-
really
made him
young.
very
Is that his
famous.
first movie, right?
One of the first few after
Yeah.
Platoon, I think, came out before Platoon. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that goes way back.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf,
Yeah.
man.
I thought you were talking about the new one with Shia LaBeouf in it.
Shia Buffett. No, that was what came a little
Shia
bit
LaBeouf.
later.
Yeah.
But I related to it because at that time I was trying to figure out what I want to do with my career.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that I was about a young, 19, 20 years old, and I realized I was born to be a salesman, if I
Okay.
can say salesman
Okay.
anymore. Salesperson. and I remember like the whole movie was great, right? I mean, I watched it 1,000 times already, but like the end of the movie when he was going to jail, right, and he's there with his father who was in the movie too. I forgot what's his father's name, but he goes, Dad, I don't create anything. I am just like the middleman between a buyer and the seller. I'm just like, and I remember, I will never forget that because it's what I do today. I don't create anything like you create. Anthony creates, right, in your business. I don't create. What I do is help and facilitate the transfer of private property. And so that always stuck with me, and here I am till 25, 30 years later doing the same thing.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Would you say there's a favorite part of the movie?
Let's see, favorite part for Wall Street. I don't know. I like the part where where Billy, who is Charlie Sheen, plays the young protege, and his mentor is Michael Douglas or Gordon Gekko, right? Gordon Gekko. And I like the parts when they're in his Gordon Gekko's office, and he's got this plush office, and he's got these $1 million portraits in his wall, and he's drinking whiskey and smoking cigars, and so he talks about greed, and there's so many great parts of it, but there's the other part where he's at this stockholders meeting, and he gave that famous speech. Michael gave that famous speech about greed, and it's still used today. They use the word greed in today's society as being bad, but we all want to be greed. We want greed for love. We want greed for happiness. Greed is just an adjective that people use, but unfortunately, it's used sometimes in a bad way. It gives it a bad stigma. But yeah, I'm greedy. I'm greedy every day, all day long. Right? That's Alex. But yeah. So that was a great part when he was in there giving his speech about greed. Classic.
Okay. And Angel, what would you say is a entrepreneurship movie that's on top of your list?
So I actually changed mine just right now at the last second. It's going to be complete opposite of what Amanda was talking about.
Really?
Mine's going. I'm going with The Pursuit of Happiness.
Okay,
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That
I
was
like
on
that
my
movie.
list.
Yeah, that one. I just thought of it as he was talking.
Right.
But yeah, it just shows. I think a real life struggle. Starting from the very, very bottom, hitting rock bottom, and then just building yourself back up, like brick by brick. And I think that's exactly what the embodiment of being an entrepreneur is you're your own cheerleader, you're your own support system. You wear every single hat that comes with being a company, or running a business. You're the acquisitions agent, you're the dispositions agent, you're the accountant, you're the receptionist. You have to take on every single role. And I think when Will Smith played Chris Gardner in that movie, he did it perfectly. I always go back to watching those clips. One clip that does stick out to me the most was when he was talking to his son. He was like, don't ever let anyone tell you you can't do something, even me.
That's a good line.
And yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
the most powerful lines any entrepreneur can hear. And it's a daily motivation. That's something that I always see.
Yeah, that's also an entrepreneurship movie that's like really top on my list. I think one of the things that it does really well is show the process in balancing risk reward, because I think a lot of people are afraid of failure, and like this guy was in a position where like he couldn't fail.
Yeah.
Because like he had already gone through so much that even if he did fail, it didn't matter because he was still in the same place.
Yeah.
So like the only thing he could do was succeed.
Yeah, he could only get.
He just had to do it, And I think a lot of people they're just too comfortable, like they're afraid that if they take on a risk of some kind, they might get set back, or they may not be happy for whatever it is they're doing, and that's the reality. Like, if you're an entrepreneur, like Gary Vee says, eat shit for a couple of years, and then you're set up for the rest of your life. But,
not literal though.
And that movie did a really good job because it wasn't just like a career risk. Like this man had a son who he had to take care of, and
that was
his
wife.
actions, like him being homeless and a father, that his son was also homeless because of his actions. That really upped the level of risk that he was taking on. I mean, an unpaid internship with no guarantee of a job, but to learn a skill set that he could take anywhere to any other company. That is a huge risk, and I think people just don't think like that for some reason. It's like you can
well, your job gets keeps you cushy, and like you have benefits. Everything's it's already planned, and there's
the comfort zone.
Yeah, there's a comfort zone. You already know when you're going to get your paycheck. That's why they don't try harder. It's like, might as well not.
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate movie of ultimate individual responsibility. I probably want to use those two words as the really bottom line on that one. He took the ultimate responsibility for himself and his family.
Yeah.
But cool, good choice
for sure. And anything else you want to add to that?
No,
that was his son, right?
That was his son.
Yeah, that was his son.
Little Jaden and then
Jaden Smith.
Yeah. Now he's really artsy.
Yeah,
really
artsy.
Or that part when he was in a train station.
Sleeping
nowhere
on the floor.
That actually that was like the climax. Like
that
was just it was just something that a lot of people don't even see. Like the struggles. His wife left him, and he was like, he had nowhere to go. He couldn't pay for his mortgage or his rent, nothing. The light, he was, behind taxes. It was a real good movie.
Bottom.
Yeah.
I think the ending, that scene, the one where he did with his kid, and then the ending where they're actually giving him the job, and he's just like all tearing up. He's like, "Was it worth it?" He's like, "Yeah." And the guy gives him back the $5. He gave that guy his last $5 to him. He was like, "I don't want to do this, but I have to."
And it was a true story, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a true story.
Yes.
So those are my 3 top scenes in that movie.
Well, I'm kind of curious, which was the other movie you were going to come into?
Oh, the other movie I was going to talk about was Wolf of Wall Street.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
God.
He went from popcorn PG movie to rated almost X.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's another.
DiCaprio and Will
That's
Smith.
a pretty big dynamic.
That's my razor head, man. That's how you know I live life.
Yeah, right. Too extreme.
I think he was gonna say Scarface or something.
Scarface. That could be an
That
entrepreneur.
could technically be a business movie.
Yeah.
That's true.
And Melanie, I know you had a couple of good ideas. What would you say is top on your list for a business movie or entrepreneurship?
Okay, well, because I'm the only girl in here, I'm gonna kind of go from a girl standpoint or woman standpoint. I'm actually gonna start off with Wall Street. So that actually represents when women weren't really, at the top where you saw Charlie Sheen. It was mostly a boys' club.
Mm-hmm.
If you saw like Daryl Hannah in the movie, she mostly just complimented him. Really, it wasn't about her being on that journey with him. And at one point, I think he was freaking out about something, and she was trying to comfort him. He pretty much, like, I can't handle this right now, like, and I think she like stormed out. I did mention a baby boom in our conversation yesterday, and I think that actually goes along with Hilco, touching on Hillary. Hillary is a mom, and she's they're doing great in this journey. And that's actually what happened in Baby Boom. Anybody who grew up in the 80s online, I don't know.
Hillary Romero, the owner of the company?
Yes, yes. Sorry, everybody. The owner of the company. So yeah, Baby Boom is definitely a good definition from the woman's standpoint of business, because we do have babies. We do go through a lot of different things. We can't just get up and go to work. We have to take care of the kids sometimes. We have to put on makeup. We have to do all this stuff. We even take care of our man sometimes. So, and sometimes we just have to let them go too, because they get in the way when it comes to business, because there's a lot of other things that go on instead of just hustling to get where you want to go in business, or being an entrepreneur. So yeah, Baby Boom, what was her name? I just went blank. Does everybody know what Baby Boom is?
I have not seen that movie.
Are you serious? You have to check it out.
I haven't seen all of it.
I'll have to check it out.
Oh my God, when were y'all born? I feel so old. Okay.
Really, yeah. Check it out.
Baby Boom, Diane Keaton.
Diane Keaton. When did it come out? Like how many years ago?
Shoot, it was in the 80s. Let's
like 10,
see.
20 years ago or something?
No, it was like 30 years ago.
Oh, 30
like
years ago.
1987. So like.
Oh, this is like Kramer versus Kramer era.
Yeah, I like that movie too.
1987. That's my birthday year.
Oh, really?
Okay.
I was born.
Wow.
Right, cool.
Yeah.
Baby boomers.
But yeah, I'm showing my age right now. But yeah, the baby boom, when it comes to a woman, like, she got tired of the way it was at work. And I mean, if y'all get a chance, that actually explains some of my journey. Like, I got tired of the way it was in the corporate world. And you get ahead or you don't. I mean, if you started off in a new place, you couldn't be like starting from the bottom again. She decided to take on her own business, but she tied it around her own life with her baby. She started a baby food company. So yeah, and she was able to move to the country where it's like a lot more peaceful, but she was letting her money work for her as well. So that's a really good example for women in being an entrepreneur. It is a little bit harder for women in that sense. Not saying that it's hard, it's just we have a lot more to deal with sometimes. So, and then there's also, actually I went blank again. What was the one we were talking about? The mop lady.
Joy.
Yeah, that was a good one. I mean, I don't resonate with that as much, but yeah, she actually went in there and she tried to get her product, which was some kind of mop that soaks up the water, I believe. Did y'all see that movie?
Yeah,
I seen
Y'all should have checked it out last night. We were talking about this.
Does that count?
She's the inventor of that mop that you wring out.
Yeah, it rings out.
That's very good mop.
Let's try it.
Let's just use that.
And I'm going to tell you another thing with women as well. Like, we're not control freaks, but like, she had to be a control freak. She had to take the product back and actually advertise it herself to the people, because the people that she left in charge of trying to sell it, they weren't selling it. They didn't really. It wasn't a priority to them. So she needed to take back it was pretty much, it was coming from her heart, and people see that. Yeah. Especially when we work with people here, when they see it coming from the heart, they want to work with us. We're not trying to sell them, really. We're trying to help each other out. So that's, I guess, where I resonate with her. So yeah, do y'all have any?
Those are two good movies.
Yeah, y'all need to check it out. None of
I think
I haven't even
seen
asked any questions.
I think my favorite part
I'm a movie buff too.
I have two favorite parts of that movie on Joy. The first one is when they're in the parking lot trying to demo their mop to people coming out of the grocery store, because the grocery store wouldn't let them go in and like show their product. They were like, nobody wants it, no one's going to buy it. And so like they had their own thing out there.
Yeah,
like
do what you got to do.
It was like a piece of floor, and they're mopping to show like how it works and how you like, what's it called? You wring it out. And people were like, every now and then they stop and they start getting interest, and that was kind of like her proof of concept moment that like she wasn't the only one. She wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
The other moment was when she comes on to the precursor to QVC.
Yeah.
Like she meets this guy who I forgot who he's played by, but he creates this TV channel that's like it's what becomes into QVC, where like all day all they do is like showcase products,
loop it around,
and it was like the first time anything had ever been done like that. It wasn't commercials; it was like actual showcase of products, how they work, and
it's big business.
And she somehow got in front of him, and he gave her a spot, and so she gets up in front of the camera and then totally freezes. And it's like she doesn't do anything. She just like stands there, and then they go to a commercial break, and he like brings her off, and he's like, I'm giving you a chance. Like you're really messing this up.
Yeah.
And then like you can see that there's a switch that goes off. That's like
I can't mess this up.
Yeah, like. Either I'm going to be crazy or I'm not, and she goes up there and starts selling the shit out of it. And those are my two favorite parts of that movie. But
when was this movie made again? Like
that was pretty recent.
Okay, so
yeah,
it's more like
because it has I think it's Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence.
She's hot.
And
that's all you got from that movie. She's hot.
Go watch the movie now.
Yeah, go watch the movie. At least that's the motivation.
That is definitely.
Yeah,
so the girl looks
just real quickly for those of you who are watching this, we're looking at the comments. Let us know what is your favorite entrepreneurship movie and why, and let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. If you have questions, let us know too. I have my computer in front of me, and I can answer your questions. Either type them back or directly into the camera. The whole team's here, basically. So yeah, don't hesitate to ask us questions. And Anthony, what would you say is one of your top entrepreneurship movies? I know you sent me a couple of names for movies, but what would you say is your top pick?
My top pick, The Founder.
The Founder.
Yes,
nice.
Ray Kroc.
Oh, that's
nice.
Smart, dude.
And a lot of people always say they always thought that he was in the burger business.
Yeah.
But he was actually in the real estate business. You know, but he just got smarter and smarter in the real estate business, and just a different mindset.
And you say that because he bought the locations of the restaurants, basically.
That's another movie I need to see.
Right. Yeah, that's a real good movie. So it's like a real entrepreneur movie. Highly recommend anyone haven't seen that movie. It's on Netflix.
Michael Keaton, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen all of it. I've seen bits and pieces. But what would you say is your favorite part?
My favorite part, when he was actually selling a milkshake, and he went to the McDonald's for the first time, and he was amazed. And he was just looking around how, like, the foundation, how they first started, and he wanted to know that owner of that created the business, and something like that kind of like triggered me, because that's something I would do. First thing, I would just go straight to the owner and says, if I'm amazed of like, how do you do it? I want to know what you know, type of deal. So that was my favorite part, and he talked about it over dinner, and he was just like talking about it, the franchise, and it was a real good movie. I saw that movie like 5 times with my son, but it was really good.
Yeah.
I like where they fixed their process, how where they weren't running into each other and nothing was taking long anymore. I love that part. I was like, that's awesome. Like, they need to do that. And of course, that's how McDonald's is right now. You get your food so fast and it's still good.
Yeah, and I think that's
not so healthy, but
that's a lesson for really any business. It's like, once you have an established brand or a product or service, it comes down to your process. That's what makes the business a business, because if you're not serving your customers, then you don't have customers,
Right.
And like Henry Ford, he didn't invent the car.
No.
He didn't even invent the assembly line. He just invented a better process, and in doing so, was able to cut the price of a car so that anybody could afford it. And that's what made him to such a big multi-mega billionaire. And it wasn't that he invented anything special, he just did it better than everybody else.
Exactly.
And that's what McDonald's did.
Right. Yeah, he definitely.
Especially the name,
the
name. He was saying about like McDonald's, like the word McDonald's, the brand.
Yeah.
You can't just get the same system and make McDonald's with the same thing under his name, Ray Kroc. So he says the name is very powerful.
How did he come up with the name?
He actually the brothers. It was
that was their last name.
Yeah,
that was their last names. McDonald's.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie? You gotta see it. It's on Netflix.
The brother wanted to.
On Netflix.
One of the brothers just wanted to work, and the other one just wanted to produce movies. Matter of fact, but he actually was helping his brother run a business.
Wow.
So it was really.
You like McDonald's? You eat McDonald's?
My son does. I don't like McDonald's.
I like McDonald's. They got the best French fries in the world.
Best French fries.
How about you, Bella? You like McDonald's?
I actually ate it yesterday or the other day when I was starving, but I don't like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah.
So,
You had an
Ice cream and the French fries are amazing.
Oh yeah, dip
And
your French fries in the ice cream. Amazing.
You can only do that with Wendy's.
Oh, Wendy's? I don't like Wendy's
They got the
fries.
smoothies, right?
Okay, we're
They got
going into
Frosties.
fast
They got
food
the-
now.
Yeah, we're talking about food.
I'm glad I ate
Wendy's,
before I did
Dave,
this.
what's up, Dave? Wendy? Dave died 10 years ago. But, okay, continue. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm just going through some of
Okay.
these comments.
I'll read that. I'm gonna read
Daniel
that.
is suggesting Glengarry Glen Ross.
Ooh, that's a great one. Yes. That's
And
a great one right
ABC always be closing.
That's a classic. That was also filmed in New York, but they got major actors in that one. You got Al Pacino in that movie, and so many other great actors in that.
And then Jamie is talking about the founder says the only part I don't like is how he took the McDonald's brothers operation and made it his own.
True.
Yeah.
Contracts is meant to be broken. That was the quote.
Contracts are meant to be broken.
Yeah. It's like hearts.
That's breach of contract. You can get sued for that, but okay.
Yeah, that's kind of illegal.
Now, Glenn Ross. Check out this lineup: Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon, Alec Baldwin, Kevin Spacey, Ed Harris. I mean, those are major names.
Yeah.
And that was during their prime too in that movie. Put that coffee down. Coffee or for closers. That's a classic line. Come on, guys. Love that line.
All right. So I want to throw a little curveball.
Okay.
I know we mentioned this in the comment thread when we were trying to figure out what we were going to talk about, but I actually think the movie 300 is a good business movie.
And how so?
Based on well, it's based on an actual event, but it was obviously like stretched way out of proportion by a graphic novel, and then the graphic novel was adapted into a movie. But it's about 300 Spartans.
Right.
The Spartans are known for their abilities to fight, and they're from a very early age they're taught about war and strategy. And 300 in real life, 300 Spartans held off an invasion of 15,000 Persians. I think it was like for 6 days, and it's like I don't think people really understand the magnitude of how impressive that is. Like for day and night, for 300 men to hold off an entire army to prevent them from invading their home. Like that takes some serious leadership skills.
Well, also that's the strategy that they had. I could see that. I could see it from that. I mean, he was a very strong leader. Don't get me wrong. Everybody would die for him, honestly. So.
And ultimately they did.
Yeah, they did.
But I think it's actually
Kind of like the Alamo. They lost the battle, but they won the war.
Exactly.
Maybe you should edit that.
That's a good one.
I'm just saying.
But I think it was actually, and I was thinking about it this morning, that whole concept of like the smaller army fighting a bigger army, that's very much like being in business. Like when you are a startup, you're competing against people who have done it already or done something similar, right? And you got to go up against them. And like not only that, but you also have like regulation that you have to be worried about, or you have to go up against. And I know for the longest time here in the U.S., like antitrust laws, pretty much unanimously, 100% would rule in favor of the small business. And so if you were a big business, like you got hurt all the time. And it wasn't until, gosh, I can't remember the name of the Chief Justice.
Google.
I don't remember.
30s, 40s.
No, it was like in the early 80s. Yeah, there was a Supreme Justice who passed away, and a new one was nominated. And this guy wrote. He was a professor previously, and he wrote a dissertation, or he wrote a book, and it was about the idea of consumer protection. That antitrust didn't need to be about business, because up until then it was the viewpoint was business hurting business. But then this justice came in and said, no, we should be looking at it as if what the businesses are doing hurts the consumer. And of course that changed how antitrust laws were evaluated and ruled and written ever since. But I thought of that because when looking at this example of the 300 Spartans, like that battle definitely made the Persians think twice about wanting to go into, actual Sparta. Like, like thinking, if I was the commander of the Persians, like there's only 300 of them, and I want to go and fight like thousands of these guys. Like, do I really want to do that? Like. And it changed the dynamic of that war, and ultimately, because history shows that the Persians did invade. They did defeat the Spartans. They retreated, but ultimately regrouped with other Greek nation states, and then drove them out again. But I think that was for me. It's a little bit of a stretch, but like I like to do a lot of these analysis things. Yeah. And that's definitely 300 could be a legitimate entrepreneurship movie.
There's one movie that we haven't mentioned. Steve Jobs.
Oh, Steve Jobs. You like that
one?
I did put that on the list. But which one? Because there's two of them that were made recently.
Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, there's one where Ashton Kutcher plays it, and then
that's the one I saw.
Yeah.
Is it Michael Fassbender?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, there's another one. I think that one's called Jobs. Yeah. Isn't it?
Yeah. Right.
And that's where Michael Fassbender plays Steve Jobs. I haven't seen that one, but I did see the one with Ashton Kutcher. I thought that was a good one. Good biopic.
Yep.
Don't know how accurate it is though.
That's true. Okay. Well, that's fine.
So we got a comment from Daniel saying Boiler Room. He's suggesting that one.
Boiler Room's a good one. I like that one.
I don't think I've seen that one. I think I started watching it.
Mid-90s.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Late 90s, mid-90s, yes.
Vin Diesel's in it. Ben Affleck.
Okay.
Basically, this guy is he's learning how to do stocks. And there's one scene in there where some guy's sitting in the broker's chair, and he's like, "Hey, you're in my chair," and this guy makes fun of him. And he makes fun of him. He's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" And he tells him, "If you want to work here, you got to treat everyone with a certain level of respect." And then he goes on and does like a humble brag. He's like, "I'm 26, worth like 10 million, drive a Ferrari." He just like slams it down on everybody. It's one of my favorite scenes.
And a Rolex. Yeah, that was the best part of it.
Yeah, and then they all got caught and went to jail. It's usually how it ends up when you do shady businesses.
Inside trading or something like that, right?
Well, they were doing penny stocks and just
penny stocks, right?
Yeah.
And
like
of course, Boiler Room, the name.
I was like,
they gave the name.
Pump and dump.
Yeah, exactly.
Boiler Room was the name they gave because it's basically, it's a lot like what we do here. We're on the phone all the time making calls, and that's what the Boiler Room is. Yeah. It's an app set up where it's just calls. Prospective sellers.
All right, so we're coming up to the 35-minute mark. Are there comments or anything that we want to add to the movie list that we've already talked about?
That was all the questions you had?
It was.
No, I mean, I was just going through asking about.
Someone had mentioned the Always Be Closing movie.
Always Be Closing. That was Glenn
Yeah.
Ross. That was Danielle. Which shout out to Danielle, one of our new AP. And when I say AP, I mean acquisitions partners.
I do,
Hilcos.
I do like that.
He is kicking ass, as well as Melanie. We're excited to have them here at Hilco
Thank you.
Homes, and they're gonna be badasses once we finish with them. But go ahead.
Okay, so I have one that I can.
Oh, okay,
Oh, we had. Oh, go
I
ahead.
forgot.
So this is another like obscure. Let's I can stretch this out, and, but the Matrix.
Matrix.
How is the Matrix?
So
Sorry.
here, think of it like this.
Okay.
So at the very beginning, in the first movie, the guy who becomes Neo is working a corporate job. He hates his life. He does computer programming on the side, right? Because he feels like he has something of worth that he can provide or bring
Sounds
to the
like
world.
my life.
and he just doesn't understand like his place or his outlet. He hasn't figured it out yet. So on his off time, he explores the internet and in the world of coding, right? And he wants to be something bigger, be something better. And when he starts, meeting these strange people who tell him things like follow the rabbit, or he gets this like random cell phone in an envelope that calls him and starts telling him what to do. Like he has to make that decision of, I don't know what the road ahead lies or what's going to bring me. That's a huge risk. Like I could literally die. And it's like, or I could just stay comfortable with where I'm at and forever wonder if I can be something bigger and better.
That's true.
And that's when he's presented with that option of take the blue pill, take the red pill. That's a legitimate, like, every entrepreneur faces that dilemma. Like, if I do this, what are the repercussions? If I don't do this, what are the repercussions? And then you weigh that risk reward scenario, and you like, 'cause none of us can tell the future. We don't know what our decisions are going to bring, right? And it is a huge risk, and I think from the conceptual standpoint, obviously, because Keanu Reeves doesn't go on to portray a business person. But I think that's definitely from the mindset of an entrepreneur. Like
that was supposed to be Will Smith's movie.
He turned down the role.
Down for the Wild Wild West.
Great movie.
That's another movie.
Entrepreneurship movie.
Be a cowboy.
Came up with a good song from Cisco.
Yeah, that's all I remember.
Random facts. I'm filled with them.
Yeah, he did MIB.
Uh-oh.
Independence
I don't know if they can get it at, but
I think we're making too much noise.
someone's not too happy.
The boss is awake.
The real boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are at the 38-minute mark, so I think we can go ahead and start closing this off.
Closing
So,
arguments.
guys, thanks for watching, and you guys, thanks for being on here.
Thanks for having me.
I know it was
Having us.
some of your first times.
Yeah, first.
first.
Yeah.
Oh,
Awesome.
cool.
First won't be my last.
That's true.
That's good.
We should be doing more.
All right. Well,
Thanks,
Facebook, we will catch you later. Thanks for watching.
Peace out.